One of my favorite Bible study tools is a website called BibleHub.com. And I'll show you how I use BibleHub.com real quickly. So the first thing I usually do at this point when I come to Bible Hub, I have a question usually about a particular word in the scriptures and what it means and where else it might be found. And I find this site to be the best tool for answering those types of questions. So in this case, I am going to imagine a scenario where I want to look up a particular word that is found in Luke chapter 2. Now, I believe that they could make some significant improvements with their user interface, but what you have to do is come up to the top and select the drop down and choose Luke, and it's going to assume that you want Luke 1 and verse 1, and then you have to actually click this second drop down. It will by default give you all the verses in the first chapter, which happens to be 80, the longest chapter in the New Testament. But I want Luke chapter 2, and what I'm looking for is in verse 1. So you can see where multiple page refreshes, multiple selections there can kind of slow you down just a bit, but it's definitely worth the wait. So when I get to Luke chapter 2 and verse 1, the next thing I want to do is come up and click the original language. But you can see that I've got numerous translations here on the page, and I can quickly go from here to the next verse, or I can change the chapter by using the drop-down menu up at the top of the page. In this case, what I want to do is I want to look at the interlinear first. So I'll click here, and you'll notice that it then gives me the verse with the Greek as well as the English translation of that word. And so it can read kind of choppily this way when you're going based on the original language. It came to pass, moreover, in the days those went out a decree from Caesar Augustus to register all the world. I'm interested in this particular use of the word world here because it is translated different ways. If I back up for 1 second and show you this, you'll see that the New International Version uses this phrase and says the entire Roman world. New Living Translation, the Roman Empire. English Standard Version, all the world. So you can see that one reason that I might be driven to this site is when I see a word difference or a significant variance between translations of how a particular word or phrase is translated. And this is important because if God used particular words, inspired the writers to use particular words for a reason. And that's why it's so important to have a Bible that is accurate. It uses, it translates in a way that closely aligns with the original language. Okay, so from here we have the Greek words. You can see that the word that I'm interested in is this word right here. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I don't know how it's pronounced, but I can click on the definition, or rather the Strong's wording number 3625, and when I click on this, you'll see that it then brings me to a page where it not only defines the word, as I can see here, it is the inhabited world, and the interpolation here is the Roman world because of the Romans ruling over the inhabited world during the time that this was written. So properly it is the land that is being inhabited, the land of a state of habitation, the inhabited world, that is the Roman world, for all outside it was regarded as of no account. And on the right hand side I can see that there are other references. This word is found 15 total times in 3 variations. And it's found in Matthew chapter 24, which is a very interesting passage. So I'm going to right click, say open in a new tab, and you can see that it's now going to take me to the Greek translation of Matthew 24 and verse 14. So I can observe here where Matthew says there will be proclaimed this gospel of the kingdom in all the earth. Here is that word. Notice that here it is translated earth, whereas before it was translated world. And I again have the definition, and so what Matthew is saying in this passage, which is a very confusing passage for many people, is that the gospel of the kingdom would be proclaimed in all the Roman world at the time before the end would come. So that's a very insightful lesson for us as we study Matthew chapter 24 and the quote-unquote end times and the last days and all eschatological subjects. So you can see from here how this is very helpful. The three things, again, to look up the definition, looking at various translations to then see what the word means, of course, and where else it is used. And one of the things I'm looking for as I go through this is, are there variations in the translation? Because you will see sometimes where that word may, if you use a different word like earth instead of world or the like, then it can all of a sudden shed additional light on the passage. And sometimes the translators, I don't think they get it right. I think they use a word, an English word, that is not as helpful as another word which is translated elsewhere. So that's how you use BibleHub.com. There's a lot more that this site can do, but those are the three things that I use it for, and it's a very powerful tool. Go forth and use it and enjoy.